Let's get into this. Jada, you sunk a ton of time into the demo for Spoken.
Mhm.
You seem to really enjoy that, and it seems like you're really enjoying the game itself. Let's tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not gonna be for everybody. And that's something that, I think that's part of the discourse we're seeing online now right now as people are starting to get their hands on with it. But for those out there that are completionists, those who like an open sprawling world with a fun combat system, and an excellent traversal, I think people are really good. Those type people who like those types of games are really going to be digging Forspoken. Yes, the dialogue is at times cringy, as we've seen from their marketing materials, but it has some good moments too. It's just there's too much back and forth between the two that you can't really say it's all bad or all good. Like it's not an outlier. It's just like it's 50-50 what the line is going to be as you progress through the game.
Yeah, you're talking about the dialogue between Frey and Cuff, of course.
I'm talking about the dialogue pretty much between anybody in the game for the most part.
Anybody? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I mean,
Um, yeah. Like
I
I
mean,
don't know, Akeem, have you danced with Pilo yet?
no, not yet. Why are you spoiling it for me and the audience? What are you doing? I didn't know I could
It's
dance with Pilo. What are you
it's
doing, Jada?
it's
You're
it's
you're
it's
you're
not a
ruining
story.
this.
It's not a story beat. It's just a thing you can do.
You're ruining this game I care so deeply about. No, so I mean the thing is I honestly I just want to start off by saying that Luminous Productions and Square Enix, I think they made a great game for people to play. Gamers will sink time into this. I commend that team. But honestly, for me, and I think I talked to you, Jada and Max, about this before. Like I love I'm a very narrative driven person, so I love playing games like that. So I mean, if we start with the story with this one, there's honestly for me there's absolutely nothing about the particular story that's compelling to me, and the dialogue contributes to that. It's like obviously it's like we talked about this, Jay. Like it's an isekai. It's pretty much
Yep.
you're playing an isekai. This is we got a fish out of water. So we got someone from the real world transported into this fictional fantasy world. And they still obviously obviously they're gonna have the mannerisms of someone that's living in the modern day. But the dialogue, the acting, the voice acting is great.
Yes,
The
I agree.
it's the writing that I mean,
Mhm.
like it's that's the thing. Like actors, like you're beholden to what's in that particular script that you have to go by. So I'm definitely not gonna blame any of the actors. Shout out to Deborah Wilson,
Mhm.
the comedian actor. She's in this particular game as well. She's in Forspoken. And I love anything that she does. But overall, I just the story wasn't doing it for me. You know,
It's yeah.
Were you intrigued by the premise at all?
I mean, again, like I've seen isekais, and
Mm.
that's all this was. It was like Musoku Tensei. It was like
Mhm.
like any anime that I've ever seen that has this type of premise. So honestly, to tell you the truth, I wasn't. I was like, okay, it's an isekai that I get to play. All right,
So, but
I'll check it out.
to be fair though, like there's not many games that do the isekai formula. They
Yeah,
like
that's what I was gonna say.
we're more likely to get like a amnesia
Yeah.
storyline versus an isekai. And so like I for one, I'm excited. I like the idea and the premise of this because we don't generally get isekais in games. I think the last isekai type game I can remember I played was Star Ocean 3 Till the End of Time. And that one was barely an isekai because, spoilers for this like 20-year-old game. But basically, you go through this whole life and then you wake up from this simulation realizing that you were in a game the whole time. So it's like, it is an isekai, but it's not an isekai. Like it's more like what Uncle from Another World. It's kind of more like
Yeah.
that kind of style. But
But
yeah,
I'll tell you,
So just to back this up, isekai, like if people would, it's like the Alice in Wonderland formula. It's
correct.
somebody who
Yeah,
gets
exactly.
transplanted to a different magical world. Yeah, it seems like something that video games would have done a whole lot, and I'm sure they have. But I guess now that you just kind of stop and think about it, it's not quite as played out as you might think.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
definitely not
common
as
in anime.
commonplace. Yeah.
But
I think all the criticisms of the writing of this game too maybe are like evidence of how hard it is to put that into a game. Like as an anime, I think maybe the tone of it could work a lot better, but like hearing how the writing or like the way the main character speaks, maybe does it feel like it clashes too much with the world that she's in?
I mean, I think it's deliberately meant to clash, but I think it's not really a knock on that. It's more of just some of the words they chose to express certain things as you progress, I think is more of the issue. It's more
Oh,
of the
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my guess that most people are getting the hung up on.
That's essentially it. It's and part of it too. I feel like we don't spend enough time with Frey in the real world to even know much about the character. You know, we see like it starts off with her. I believe she
In
was
court.
yeah, she was in court, and the judge was like, "Hey, I'm gonna let you slide this time, and go home."
Which let's be real, Akeem, that was probably the most fantasy element of this game. Is that that a black woman with 2 strikes gets leniency and gets to just kind of gets I'm just gonna be community service for you. You got 2 strikes, but community service. That's the most fantasy element of this game. So they got that right for fantasy at least.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. So we didn't spend enough time with her to even know what she did, and like to just I wanted to, if they had grounded the main character a little bit more, it would have made sense. As soon as she's transported into this world, like we don't know much about Frey, like going in, before she's transported.
No, I agree. There's a little bit of stuff that you find if you like grab like the little collectibles, like that she's an orphan. You learn
Yeah.
where she was found and where she got her name from. You learned, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe her crimes previously were like they're like grand theft or something like that. I think there was like I think there were like robbery charges and stuff like that. It wasn't anything violent, but I can't
Okay,
remember off the top
I'm
of my
not
head,
talking
but
about. I'm not talking about learning about her rap sheet, Jada. And I said I want to learn more about the character. I don't mean like the crimes she committed previously. I mean there should have been more to just like kind of ground her as a character before transporting her into this fictionalized world. But I don't want to get too bent out
In
of
the
shape
weeds.
over
Yeah.
over the narrative, because like for me, like I'm comparing it to games like God of War, The Last of Us, which like they had these characters. The writing made you care, and the acting as well. The voice acting made you care about these characters even more. So when you did lose a character in the game, it was a visceral feeling. I mean
Yeah.
that happens in this game, and I'm like, okay, well that sucks for that person. You're dead. It's not the same feeling for me. But we can move past that.
Yeah.
The combat system. I kind of want to talk about that, but Jade, I'm gonna let you go first because I know you again, like you're like you've said, you're a bit of a completionist, so I know you've probably maxed out everything. So I'd love to know what you think about the combat system.
I mean, I think combat system is great. Like you have 4 different elements of magic that you'll get as you progress. You start with earth, then you go fire. I believe the third one was water. And then I can't remember what the 4th one is right now off the top of my head. But you get those 4 elements. You can mix and match each one has their own dedicated spell wheel with 8 magics on one thumbstick, and then 3 other more attack focused magics that are on another. I'm sorry, not thumbsticks, bumpers, R1 and R1. And so you basically can rotate between these, casting different spells. You can chain different spells together. All the enemies have different elemental weaknesses to exploit. Some of them are more resistant to say like knockbacks or knockdowns than others. So figuring out which knockback move is effective against this enemy versus which isn't effective against a different enemy. Like you can't dash into a bear generally and knock him down, but you can put a little mine on the ground and that will like stagger the bear and potentially knock him over, so you can go in for like a killer blow on him. So it's about figuring out those different types of dynamics within the combat is what really intrigued me. Each spell also can be upgraded, and they each give you like a challenge. So it's like bind 10 enemies and attack them from behind to upgrade the spell, and it'll increase the root duration that the enemies are binded for. And they have all types of different things like that for the different spells. But yeah, I dig it. The dodge mechanic is simplistic with the parkour, but it does have a little bit of nuance to it with certain unblockable attacks where you just kind of have to get the hell out of dodge.
Pun.
Yeah,
Love
I love my puns. In order to actually dodge the attacks. So it's there's more to it, and I think the big thing is going to be I think a lot of people who fall in love with this game and want to explore more into it are going to get the most out of that combat system. They're going to find those intricacies.
That's
But anybody who's kind of
it.
coming in at a like starting into it, you're going to probably be very lost. It's very complex.
Yes.
It's very complex.
Yes.
They throw a lot at you right off the bat. I think I started, I think once I got the second element, the fire element, the time it took for me to like master swapping between earth and fire just to like combo different things and make sure I'm selecting the right spell at the right time, it probably took me about an hour or two minimum of just like going around in simple combat to just like master like the switching between the elements. And then you add the third element and it just gets more complex, so it just constantly gets more and more like exponentially complex as you add more elements. So like I think we're going to see some really cool videos later, but yeah,
it's one of those things like in the beginning, because this is actually the first game that I've played. I don't even recall the last game that I played that made me feel this way, but this was the first game that I've played in a long time, if ever, where I wasn't too keen on the combat system right off the bat. It was just like the combat system, like you have to invest time in this game, because when you first start out, it's you have this ranged magical attack. But as you progress in the game, and like Jada was saying, you learn these other elements. You can start to do other types of attacks. And once you get your melee weapon, that's when, at least for me, it livened up.
Mhm.
But like in the beginning, I was like, what is this? We're just going to be shooting beams from our hands the entire time? I was like, what is going on? This is, this is not combat. This is just, I'm a wizard. I'm just a wizard shooting magical beams.
A what? A wizard?
A
Yeah,
wizard.
I'm
A wizard.
I'm a wizard. Don't make fun of the way I say wizard. How dare you, John?
All right. I respect the hell out of this game for trying so much stuff, but I think that's also kind of working against it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sucks because we're at this point where it's like it's so expensive and it's so ambitious to try to start anything new in a gaming space. Like to make a AAA open world game that is a new IP that is trying new things is such a crapshoot. And it's a bummer to see this one not stick the landing. But again, I wanted to like it, but I just immediately didn't like. None of the early stuff it was presenting really hooked me, and I like played the demo, and I was like, this is just throwing too much stuff at me. And again, it's like that people aren't going to figure out new ways to make games without making those games.
Correct.
There's a certain amount of experimentation that has to happen, and it's kind of cool to see a Japanese studio trying this so much stuff, because for 25 years JRPG meant turn-based party system. Like there was a long stretch there where it was a known quantity, and it's kind of wild to see Square Enix breaking out of that mold and being like, okay, we need to resonate with a new younger audience. So that means real-time combat. That means full-on open world parkour traversal, which is again it's clearly cribbing popular mechanics and ideas from a lot of Western games, but yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about sort of what happens if this doesn't pull it off. Like, what happens if this just flops? And I don't know. Like, is this going to be like another The Order 1886, where it's this thing that tries a whole lot and really just? I mean, that was a game that probably didn't try enough interesting stuff, but it was sure as hell ambitious, and it's just kind of. Yeah.
I think it's on the opposite. I think it's more going to be, it may fall into the lines of Square Enix with their Western properties, where they had like Guardians of the Galaxy was not a success for us. Marvel's Avengers was not a success for us. Like, I think it might end up falling into that kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, those were both Western studios that they have since unloaded.
Yeah.
And it's Avengers. We can talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, I mean, there's that, what is it, like a camel is a horse designed by committee. I think of that like that the Homer, the car designed by Homer or whatever. That's where it's just got like every possible bell and whistle you could possibly want, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like you make this thing that's just trying to appeal to everybody, and in the process it appeals to nobody. And this is this has so much. Yeah, this has so much stuff going on in it, and I feel like you could take a more tried and true approach to storytelling and introduced a really interesting mechanical system that people would have been like, well, the story kind of sucks, but the at least the mechanics are really novel and exciting. Or you could take a familiar familiar, mechanics and tell a really, really compelling story. And people will be like, well, I feel like I've played the game before, but the story's all new. And this seems like it's kind of doing a little bit of both and spreading itself kind of thin in the process.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'll kind of say that really appealed for me, and I think will appeal to like appeal to the hardcore audience, is when you play it on, if you play it on the hard difficulty, what I'm playing it on currently, it is a lot more challenging than that normal difficulty. I think the spike is a lot higher than we see in most games, and then also it makes each upgrade more valuable, more worthwhile. Whereas some of them just aren't. You don't really need a normal playthrough. You can also go into the accessibility options and crank the difficulty even further by increasing the damage you take to significantly increased. So basically, any like regular little zombie guy currently will completely break my defense with one hit. Like, it's just ridiculous. So like I have to basically be perfect with my parkour and dodging, and I like that element in my gameplay. I like being pushed to the brink in every single fight. But if you're not playing on the harder difficulties, you're probably not going to. And then also when you play on the harder difficulties, it removes the slowdown when you're swapping between spells, which makes it even more complex, which means you have to even be even more masterful with it. So there's a lot of stuff with that. One tip I will give to everybody out there who is picking it up today: go into the accessibility option right off the bat and turn on auto pickup. That way, anytime you run across plants and things you need to pick up, it will just pick them up automatically for you. You don't have to mash a button. I don't
Some
know why
people like
that's not
holding down a button and seeing the little circle go around. It makes you put it in your pocket.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not just the default in games nowadays. Like, just auto pick stuff up for me. I don't need to press a button to.
Was that an option in Horizon Forbidden West?
I believe so as well. Yes, I believe it was an option you had to turn on.
I could have done that the whole time. Oh, I'm so pissed.
Didn't they have to patch that in?
I'm pissed.
It might have got patched in.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It's been a minute since I've touched Forbidden West, so
I know they had to patch in her not talking about it every time she picks something up.
Yeah.
I got one final thing I want to say about this. I don't want us to move on before I say this to our listening and viewing audience. As far as this being, because I want to be honest to our audience, how I feel, and I want to treat our audience like they're my friend, personal friend. As far as this game being a day one, I would say no. The only reason I have it is because, of course, I'm working in games media. But if I were just a regular consumer, I would personally wait. Knowing the information that I know now, I would personally wait till it's like either free or available at, on a disc at a discount or something. Maybe available on PS Plus. Again, like if you're someone who's looking for a compelling story, great combat right off the bat, that you don't have to work too hard to get, this is not it. So go in with that knowledge, and of course everyone's seen the reviews. You've seen our review here at IGN. Definitely take that into consideration in any other reviews that you may see before you throw down 60, 70 some odd dollars for this game. I don't want you to be disappointed like I was when I paid for Saints Row.
Okay.
Just any chance to knock Saints Row, Akeem. I love it.
No, I didn't mean to. I was like looking forward to that. I was like, I don't got time to wait for some free code that's coming out of the nowhere. So I paid for it, and I was like, what is this? No, money. I care about money, and I lost it. So I mean, I'm thinking like the consumer. I would want to do my due diligence before I just go out and purchase a game. Like I bought that particular game just because I was like, hey, Saints Row. Oh, look at that monstrosity on the screen right there. But I was like, you know what? I'm such a fan of the franchise that I'm just gonna say, you know what? And I read the reviews. I read each and every review. I saw tons of reviews of this game, and they were all negative. I'm like, you know what? It can't be that bad. Why are people just love to jump on that bandwagon? And yeah, it was true. It was just as bad as everyone painted it out to be. So again, just take that into consideration. Take this into consideration. All the reviews that you've heard. Of course, you can listen to Jada, but Jada is a completionist. If you feel like I like to complete everything, then yes.
I will say this about Jada. Jada, you are an incredibly positive person, and I'm deeply envious of you for that. I think you're very good at finding the good in things, and I mean, you moderate a lot of internet comments.
Yeah.
And
I do.
I think that requires a certain high high tolerance for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've often called myself the eternal optimist, because it's the only way I can stay alive. But yeah, no, I agree with Akeem. If Forspoken doesn't look like your cup of tea, if you didn't really enjoy the demo or the mechanics in the demo, at least, maybe wait on it. But if you do like the open worlds, you do like the idea of a bunch of different magic spells and complexity in your combat, and being able to push, the difficulty and challenge up to like the far limits and collect stuff, like it might be worth it for you. So, watch some videos, there's going to be people streaming it starting today, I'm sure. So, kind of go in and just with an informed opinion, and if you like it, take a gamble.
Yeah.
well, I've said this a lot, but like modern games are in a lot of ways akin to travel. They're expensive and they're time consuming, and you're going to some far off place. But at the end of the day, if you don't actually want to be in that place, then it's a waste of time and money.
Yep.
And if the world of Forspoken doesn't immediately seem appealing to you, then like don't buy the ticket, don't take the ride. But that said, like 6 out of 10 isn't bad. It's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's one person's opinion. That's what a review is. Friendly reminder. But
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I don't think
I don't know.
I
It
don't think
probably
I'll
would have
say.
fell somewhere between like a 7 and an 8 for me. Probably would have been right around that range for me.
Final thing I'll
Yeah.
say about the open world, like it's a great open world. Like I love if you're looking for like an open world that kind of reminds you of Tennessee in the summer, where you can see all the refrigerators. Forspoken is the game.
I cannot confirm seeing any refrigerators in.
What does that
Forspoken.
mean?
Buy
Are there refrigerators in this magical world?
buy
No, there are not.
Forspoken. Buy Forspoken. You'll find out what I mean.
Hold on. No. What?
No, I don't want to pay to find out what you mean. Just tell
What is
me what you mean.
No, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. I want you
Oh,
to
the
solve this
refrigerator-
mystery.
Are there just like a lot of refrigerators laying around
you
in
know what?
Tennessee?
How about this? How about we book a ticket to Tennessee in the summertime in July, and then we'll find out exactly what I mean.
I don't want
Okay.
to do that
I-
either.
Want to do that? We'll
Yeah,
road
now I
trip
don't know which one's worse. Should I pay for Forspoken now, or should I pay for a trip to Tennessee in the summer to look at refrigerators on the street? Is that what's the payoff here?
You'll find
I
out.
feel like we're gonna
There
get
is
like
no
two or
payoff.
three people in the comments who are like, spot on, Akeem. That's exactly what. And we're gonna be like, I still don't understand why there's refrigerators in Tennessee. I don't get it.
In the summertime. Only in the summer.
All right. If you enjoyed that, check out full episodes of Beyond, IGN's PlayStation shows. We goof around about everything PlayStation related, sometimes covering it seriously. New episodes drop every Tuesday on IGN.com or YouTube.com/IGN Games.